Welcome to Discover Barnstable, the official podcast of the Town of Barnstable. A podcast where you can meet the people who steward the programs and services for the Town of Barnstable that connects us to our quality of life. We invite you to join the conversation as we navigate municipal government and our community pathways to help you discover Barnstable. I'm Paula Hersey, and today I'm joined with our guests, Town Clerk and Quirk, as we explore this week's topic, the annual Town Census. Now, Anne is a frequent flyer here on our podcast, so an abbreviated bio, Assistant Town Clerk for Yarmouth between 2006 and 2011, Assistant Town Clerk for Barnstable 2011 to 2013, Town Clerk 2013 to present, and you're currently the Region 1 Director of the International Institute of Municipal Courts, or have you passed that baton on to someone else?
I just passed that baton on to someone else.
It's amazing that you have time to do any of that. So, Anne, welcome back. We got a kind of a fun topic today. It's not birth and death. The funnest topic, obviously, is dog licenses, but we're going to explore the town census. Everyone who is a resident, primary resident here in the town of Barnstable should have received their town census. Mm-hmm. This is different than the annual, not the annual, but the 10-year census that the federal government does. This town census happens every year. Usually shows up in your mailbox the last week of December, and we want you to get that back in a timely fashion as best as possible. So why don't you give us a little bit of information about the history of our town census and how and why we're sending it out every year?
Thank you, Paula. Yes, let me just say this, that the town census actually started in the 1600s.
Really?
Yes. I've done a little research on that recently. And it was for men who were property owners.
Okay.
Who in order for them to qualify to vote, they had to do a census.
Oh, wow.
And the property had to be of sufficient value.
Oh.
By the 1860s, the qualifications changed a little bit so that they didn't have to be owners of the property, but they had to be residents in order to be on the voting rolls. And in 1890, women were allowed to be on the census then and required if they wanted to vote for the school committee, because that was the only thing they could vote for.
Was the school committee?
Yes,
oh,
in the 1890s. Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So currently, it is a state law. It is a mandate that we do this. It's known also as the street listing.
Okay.
And the reason that we have it locally is so that we can maintain the voter list. If you don't send back a census, we have to keep looking back at your records. Did you vote? When was the last time you voted? And it's a whole process that we cannot take you off the voting list for 4 years,
right,
if you haven't returned the census. But we can make you inactive, so it makes it a little bit more difficult when you go to vote. But you're still on the voter list, you're just inactive.
Okay. So this is the annual town census really is a valuable tool for the town. Voting the vote is a little bit of a separate piece of it. There's some benefits to that census as well. Funding really is tied to our town census, not always to the federal census. So give us some demographics of some of the folks that would benefit from the census, the town census. Schools, veterans?
Schools, definitely. So we know how many children are going to be in the schools. Do we have enough seats for everyone?
Oh, okay.
The veterans, absolutely. They benefit by being on the census and letting us know that they're veterans, because they have their own group on top of this. The other one is the seniors. We want to make sure we have enough facilities and things for the seniors to do, places for them to go, food for them to receive. I mean, I'm right now in the process of getting a list together of those that are over the age of 60 up to however high we go this year,
Right.
For the senior center or the Barnstable Adult Community Center.
Right.
So they have a group that they can get in touch with, and they can become volunteers. There's so many things.
Right. And I kind of want to make sure that listeners understand that, we just don't send it out for no apparent reason. There are funding opportunities for the town. So you just named off a bunch of groups. Mm-hmm. That funding sometimes is tied to the census. So it's really critical that you return it.
Absolutely. For each of those groups to go to the state to get funding, they have to have that information. And that information comes from the census.
Right. And that's schools and veterans and Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels.
Right.
Thrive, senior centers, all across the state. This is what we use it for.
Okay. So that kind of makes it, yes, it's not just something that you can say, nah, they know where I live kind of thing. So let's really dive into the whole voter piece of this. So the town census can affect voters in a couple of different ways. So let's explore that a little bit. Addresses, inactive. What about vote by mail?
Oh, all of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. So people who are residents and are living here the majority of the time, and they want to let us know that they're here. And if they're going to not be here, or if they're moving, we need to know that so that we have them in the correct precinct. This year is particularly big for us because all 13 town councilors are up for election. And that's because of the change in the lines of the precincts. So, we want to know where you are and make sure we have you in the right spot so you can walk in and vote. Or you can send us a card or a letter or whatever to allow us to send you a vote by mail.
Right. So it's interesting. I'm not sure our listeners understand that all 13 counselors, that's basically every counselor in Hyannis right through to Katuitt, is up for re-election. Yes, we did elect two, I believe, in the last election. Mm-hmm. They're also up for election.
Yes,
all 13. It's important. Folks can make real difference as a voter in their local elections.
Oh, absolutely. The most impact that you are going to have is in your local elections.
Right.
And coming out to vote is just so important. And in this case, every time we do a federal census, once the dust settles and we have all the lines figured out, we have to allow for each and every voter to make sure that their person is, for their precinct, is there to represent them. So this is why we have to do all of the town councilors for all 13 precincts.
Right. So you have a crackerjack staff up there in the town clerk's office, and thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of censuses are being returned. What do you do with them?
Oh, that's a good question.
Right?
When we get those census back in, we go into the voter registration information system, and we update it saying that you have returned your census this year. So we mark it as 2023, and we verify all the people that you have on your census are what you have on my computer too. Okay. So that is where we make up our voter list from.
Oh, okay.
So it's all connected. It's just one step to the other. So yes, it is really, really important. Lots of times people move and they forget to tell us. Yeah. Or they actually leave the state altogether. We really need to know.
Okay. And there's always those questions of, there's how many older over 60 in your household? How many children do you have under a certain age? Mm-hmm. I seem to recall, and maybe I'm just thinking that I saw this, but didn't we used to have dogs on the census?
Yes, we did, but we don't anymore. So it's one of those things that they dropped from the census, and that was developed by the state.
Okay. So the state really does have a hand in this census. It's not something that you kind of pulled out a template out of Microsoft Office and said, here's the census, right? The state's involved in this.
Oh, definitely. The state has all the requirements. So we follow the state.
Excellent. And I think really, as we kind of wrap things up today, what are the dates for returning? Like, can I return this in September?
We're going to accept it whenever you return it.
Okay.
But I would appreciate it if you could get them back to me as soon as possible,
Sure.
because it's a lot of work still for us to do. And
Right.
that's what also makes up our list of residents.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and that's, again, important. The town council race in 2023 is going to be in November. So you want to make sure that your information is correct, that you're not showing up in Katuitt when you really are going to be voting in Hyannis. It's a long drive with the sewer connections. Just...
it is.
It
You're
is.
absolutely correct.
Sometimes you can't get there from here. So now we're going to roll right into the rapid fire questions, right?
Go
Are you
for it.
ready?
I'm ready.
What's your favorite time of the day?
I'm a morning person.
Pretty much everybody we talk to is.
I can be up at 4:30 in the morning and be
Yeah.
puttering around and being very happy.
Excellent. What was your first concert?
Oh my gosh. That's really going way back. Live concerts? I think in the 70s. And I'm trying to remember the name of the band, and it's gone from my brain.
Well, it was the 70s.
It was the 70s, yeah.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, maybe. Chicago.
Could have been. All of the above.
Next visit on, we'll ask the same question. We'll see if it sparked the memory. And then the last one is, and you had given us one or two of your favorite places on the last one, but your favorite place in Barnstable. Do you have more than one?
Oh, I have several.
Okay.
I do have several, and I take my grandchildren around to them whenever they're here. And I'll tell you, they kind of dictate now where my favorite places are, because they know they want to go to the penny candy store.
Right.
And they want to go to Craigville Beach, and they want to go see the shanties. And it just goes on and on.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Anne. We again want to really tell our listeners, please get those census in. We do need them for funding for schools and veterans and senior centers. And we need them so you can vote in our town council race in 2023 in November.
Excellent.
All righty. Thanks for spending time with us and listening to Discover Barnstable, the official podcast of the town of Barnstable. We hope you found a new understanding of how your municipal government works to protect, engage, and enact for you and our community. Be sure to drop us a line at podcast@town.barnstable.ma.us and let us know what you would like to learn next. Till next time, go discover Barnstable.